Welcome back, everybody, to another Monday with the Jocks of All Trades podcast. You know what that means. It is Jock Talk. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of good and a lot of bad. So,
the best and a lot of just hilarious.
The best way to kick it off, as usual, is the buzz. Let's hop right on in. I can kind of take this one if you guys want to, real quick. Not even from like an enjoyment standpoint, but just like I'm afraid something big is going to happen from this. So let's go straight into Harson's Hard Knocks. Auburn, what y'all doing? Y'all in the SEC, y'all supposed to do something over there, and instead, players are leaving to UCF and South Florida and the Big 12. Everybody's just leaving, and they're all citing Harsin as a problem. Harsin comes out and says, "It's not me, not my big deal. Whatever, no problem." Then you hire the offensive coordinator from the Seahawks. I thought that was a great hire. I thought, okay, they're going to do something. He leaves. He cites personal reasons. 2 weeks after showing up at Auburn, not good. Another offensive coordinator resigned. Another coordinator resigned. Harsin the whole time spends, well, I haven't done anything wrong. I want to stay with Auburn. That's why I came here. Well, yeah, that's why you came there. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're great. And now Auburn is launching a full investigation into his handling of the football program. Guys, what do you make of this? Is this just going to be a big mess?
Well, some players came out and said they were treated like dogs. And then other players came to his defense and said, like, no, that's not how he run things. Like, he's our coach. We're going to back him up. And then the head coach himself, Harsin, said, yo, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is what it is. And I think in this day and age, I think part of the reason why this is such a big thing, people are – now, the coaches leaving is one thing. Like, that's weird to me. Players leaving is really not as weird because, like – you can kind of make any excuse that you want why you're going to leave a program. Like, I'm not starting, or the coach is too tough, or this or this or this. And you can just leave without the penalty of people being pissed at you or the penalty of, you losing a year. Like, you can leave willingly, freely, and go. You can make up any reason you want to as why you're leaving. So for the players, that makes sense because, like, maybe a lot of players are like, dude, this dude's a little too off his rocker for me. I don't want this. I'm leaving. But the coach is leaving. That to me signals there has to be some kind of like ego problem with him and the way that he treats his staff. Because we've seen coaches before treat their staff like crap. Like that happens. Assistants don't like the head coach because they get an ego problem, they get a big head, and they treat him like crap. So from the player standpoint, like just the way that college football is going, but from a coach's standpoint, coaches leaving, that is what intrigues me. I don't know what to make of it though.
Yeah.
No, it's I'm sure that as an Alabama fan, anyone can sit back and maybe just watch the drama ensue, and that's the sad part about it because. Whoever is right in this scenario, it just means that the program is going to suffer. Mm-hmm. And it means that, we're going to see probably Alabama win a few more Iron Bowls in the near future as if they needed any help. But no, it's the reason why you launch investigations. I think they're doing a good thing to launch an investigation, get to the bottom of it, because if there is so much conflicting output and points of view among the players, among the staff, then maybe it's like Harsin could be as pure as the driven snow, and that would explain why the coaches get there and then immediately leave, because whatever Harsin's behavior is, they're saying, oh, there is massive culture problems here. I'm out. So either they thought he was the problem or they think that he couldn't fix the problem. but it's not a good thing if you're for shouting War Eagle.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because like Auburn's, while they're not always in playoff contention or, the top contention other than Cam Newton that 1 year, it is a school that like people do want to, like players do want to go to. Like they have produced a lot of talent to the NFL. Like, is it the greatest team in the world? No, but like from just a producing NFL talent, producing good players, they've done that. So like for players to just like a lot of them just to leave, like it's not like, oh, like this, I'll never get to the NFL or like they'll never see me on the big stage. Like, no, you get the big stage. Scouts do come to look at you. It has to be more of a either I'm not going to start or like I cannot stand this dude. So, yeah, has to be him. I don't really know what else to say.
Yep, I'm in agreement with that. Let's move on to the coaching carousel, guys. There's a lot. I wrote a whole lot. We can kind of pick and choose what we want to talk about. Kyle, there's a number one hire here that I knew you would probably be excited about. Go ahead and start out with that one, man. You know a whole lot about this coach.
Well, listen, Dennis Allen just became the Saints head coach, by the way. That just dropped right now.
Oh.
He is the former D coordinator for the Saints, became head coach. So sorry again to Eric Bieniemy. You can't get a head coaching job. But the big one that I want to talk about is Dougie P going to the Jaguars. And listen, a lot of people are just like meh about it. I understand. Like he's a kind of a boring guy. Like he is. But from just like a quarterback whisperer standpoint, like Carson Wentz came from North Dakota State, played FCS level, went into his rookie year, started right away, and the next year he was an MVP candidate. I'm not going to put all of that just on Howie Roseman. I'm not going to put all of that just on the weapons they got. A lot of it was definitely Doug Peterson understanding what it takes to be a quarterback. And the Jaguars, if everything goes wrong, the one thing you want to get right is we need to make sure Trevor Lawrence is upright, is stable, his head is screwed on straight, and he knows what he's doing. Because that is the only way the Jaguars will ever get back to playoff contention is through Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. However, their ownership sucks. Their GM is a trash bag that no one wants. Now, Dougie P did work with Howie Roseman, who's a kind of a trash bag, so maybe that'll still work, But I like it because I think that Lawrence is their number one guy. He's the only way they're going to get where they want to go, and you need someone to come in and right the ship a little bit, at least from an offensive standpoint. Like he's going to need to get some good coordinators in there and a little bit more, a lot of more talent on the offensive line. But if he can do that, like I don't care if their defense is crap. I don't care if they go 5-13 or 5-12, whatever. As long as Trevor Lawrence is like progressing and his head is screwed on straight, like that's what you want. So I like it.
My only concern is the relationship now between Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson.
Yeah, I don't know.
He can't be hands off. He has to have his hands on. He likes getting credit for stuff. It's what soured the relationship with Harbaugh with San Francisco. He wanted too much credit. If somebody else took his credit, he would come in and swoop in and do something stupid to the roster to make it like be to his credit. And I think that is going to be the biggest detriment of Dougie P to the upper office and Baalke in between the two of them. I think I originally blamed Khan, and then I was reminded that Trent is not great at letting everybody do what they want to do. Yeah. I think Leftwich nailed it. He needs to be gone for anything to happen. So for now, I think it'll be obvious. If the Jaguars go out and put out another stinker of like a 2 or 3 win season, it'll be obvious that it's not a head coach situation, especially if they make stupid moves in the offseason. Or in general, he's gone. He's out, and he should be.
Yeah. I would like to kind of bring up the Bears a little bit because I'm looking at some of these moves the Bears made. They replaced both coordinators.
Yeah.
They got Luke Getsy, who was previously Packers quarterback and passing game coordinator. So their QB coach. And then Alan Williams, they brought him in as defensive coordinator. He was previously with the Colts. He was the DB and safeties coach. So they know. So he's coming from a culture where defense is strong. And heck, if you're getting a person who is the Packers quarterback coach and passing game coordinator, that's the guy who's been whispering in Aaron Rodgers' ear for a long time. So the Bears are making steps in the good direction, and in a good direction. I'm especially excited to see what Getsy is going to be able to do with Fields. And so again, I think a lot of it depends on them being able to keep Fields upright, and you need to do that via the draft. But I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like, Eberflus isn't an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. However, if you can let someone just take over the entire offense and not have to worry about it, and if he really did have a lot of input in that Packers offense, like if he learned a lot from LaFleur, like LaFleur's a very good offensive mind. If he learned a lot from him, like that's what you want. Like, you want to instill that in Fields. So also Levy Smith got hired by the Texans today. I'm not a big fan of that. I think he is a good coach. I just don't think he's the guy to turn around the Texans, if that makes sense.
I'll talk about that when we talk about Brian Flores.
Okay.
Yep. The only other one that really sticks out to me is the Vikings. They've been so blasé, and I think that's the best word I can use to talk about the Vikings. Their offense, they have some of the best weapons in the world, but they have not run their offense properly to make that happen. Honestly, you need to take the ball out of Cousins' hands more and put it into Dalvin Cook's. And if you are going to pass it, utilize Justin Jefferson more. He is literally the second coming of Randy Moss. Use him. That's probably the best receiver you're going to have for a long time. Hopefully, bringing in somebody who is familiar with more of a passing game, balancing with a run game, would be the Rams offensive coordinator or previous, Kevin O'Connell. Hopefully that's what they need. Just a regime change, somebody that comes in and says, look, Cousins is – everybody knows that. But if we're going to have to keep him, let's make the most of his contract and utilize the best parts of our offense, which is our weapons, not our quarterback. It feels very Mac Jones-esque. Like, yeah, Mac is the big guy in that offense. He was, because the receivers are garbage, besides the tight ends and your plethora of running backs. But what did they dedicate to most of the season? Easy passes for Mac Jones and relinquishing the ball early to pull the defense in to give him easier passes in the middle of the field. All they did. Is Mac Jones Tom Brady? No. So you have to cater to him. Josh McDaniels did a fantastic job with that, to cater to him. Hopefully, Kevin O'Connell will do that with the Vikings. And the second part of what I like the Vikings did, they took the former vice president of football operations for the Browns as their GM. And I was like, okay, that's kind of garbage. And then I thought about it. Maybe it's not. We've kind of seen the Browns transform from the we never win anything to we were in the playoffs. We were in the hunt in our division for a while. They're changing their culture and what they aim to do. And I think that's the biggest problem with the Vikings right now, is the culture behind it. Besides, like, the obvious lack of any kind of defense whatsoever. You build a winning culture, you will get the most out of Cousins. Look at the Eagles. They want to Super Bowl with Foles. You don't need the Tom Brady's of the world to win. You need them to be efficient in the situations and offense you put them in. So I like both of these hires by the Vikings.
And also, if you think about it, like Kevin O'Connell with the Rams, now, I don't know how long he was there, but like Sean McVay and the Rams went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
Yep.
With Jared Goff.
Yes.
So, like, and you can get more out of Kirk Cousins than you ever could with Jared Goff. So the issue is, like, can you just, like you said, be efficient, not turn the ball over, not make stupid plays, rely on Dalvin Cook, rely on your weapons, and also play some good defense. That's what's going to be kicker here is, like, is their defense going to be up to snuff? But, like, if they can do that, like, the Vikings have a lot of talent on their team. It's just like I think the big problem is just not finishing games, not being efficient. Kirk Cousins not doing what he's supposed to be doing. If he can make it simpler, maybe like I think that could work out for them. But yeah, also the Dolphins, that head coaching hire was just weird to me as well. I don't know. That's another conversation for another day. It's just so many things happen with these head coaching hires with Brian Flores. It's just kind of like hard to talk about all of that right now. But I don't like that. So
let's just have a brief. Hold on, wait. Oh no, Auburn, no. We want Kirk Cousins to just not be. How about that? Early retirement for you, Cousins. Have at it, buddy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Maybe he'll be the next one to post 30 for 30.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know
we need Kirk Cousins to stop being Kirk Cousins.
Correct. Let's talk briefly though about the Brian Flores thing. I might feel a little more passionately about this than you guys do, but I think Flores is spot on. Whether his direct allegations are correct or not, it is not even the point anymore. Because he listed Bieniemy in his stuff. He's listed a long history of black men that have performed better than the white guys that get hired. He is proving a point that the way that the NFL is structured is terrible. The Rooney Rule is insulting. The Levy Smith hire was done because he's black. That's insulting. Like, if you're going to pick somebody, Bieniemy should have been the head coach. Somebody who's proven that he can play quality football. Now, Levy Smith is a great guy. But Levy Smith had the 23rd ranked defense in the NFL last year. And you want to tell me he's the best candidate to be the head coach? No, they picked him because he's black. Because what do you do? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, don't just pick them because they're black. Pick them because they are excellent men. And that's what's being lost in the shuffle here. And regardless of whether Flores is right, Flores has a great point. And he listed Bieniemy in his long paper that he sent to the NFL. He said, look at Bieniemy. Bieniemy is a perfect example of current stuff. Look at how Hugh Jackson, he had a terrible team. He wasn't a great coach. That's okay. But to vilify him in the way that they did, we don't really do that to white coaches very often. Adam Gase, of course, because Gase is stupid. But yes, thank you. This right here, Auburn, we did not hear anything about Levy Smith until today. Why is that? Why do you wonder why that is? Like, it drives me absolutely batty that the entire process for hiring people is backwards, racist, and awful. That's where we are. And you know what? I'm starting to side with some of these players that are saying that professional sports leagues, it's just about money. You do not care about – look at who makes up – and Auburn brought this up. And Auburn, I'm going to use you. Look at who makes up 90% of these NFL teams, maybe even 95. Take away the black players. What do you have? Punters, kickers, some quarterbacks, maybe a couple tight ends, and
Cooper Kupp,
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, my point remains the whole sport rests on black men and black excellence, and we're taking that away to just say, well, this is the way we've done it. It doesn't have to be that way. Let's change things. Let's get rid of the Rooney Rule. Hire who you want. That's less insulting than requiring people.
It should just go back to, I feel like, just whatever. Again, like what you were saying, Brad. Hire the best coaches. Hire the best people. Period. End of discussion. If you make it just about pure, okay, what can you bring to our team in both ability, capability, and character, then you don't have to worry about, we interviewed our quota of people from such and such, color palettes.
Yep.
That is so completely dumb, and it is racist. It is straight up racist.
I mean, I think that,
go ahead.
I think this all started like when the John Gruden thing happened, like for me anyway, Like there's so much crap that happened in those emails with those owners, with the coaches, and like only John Gruden got canned. Like Dan Snyder from the football team, now the Commanders, like he's an owner, right? Who's done horrible things, and he's not going to get canned till he gets till someone forcibly removes him from office or forces him to sell the team. Like that's what we're dealing with now is owners at the top who make the rules, who make the hires, who whisper in the coach's ears, who whisper in the GM's ears. Again, most of these GMs are predominantly white. Like, don't do this, don't hire him. There is definitely racism in the NFL, no question about it. Especially from a GM coach standpoint. I believe, I forget which team it was, but they interviewed a woman to be a GM, and I'm all for again, if you're qualified, go for it. But if there's a woman being interviewed before a black man who's been in football, who's lived and breathed football, why are they still getting the stick? Do you know what I mean? That's weird to me. I feel like a lot of owners, people higher up are probably on the lines of thinking that we don't really trust these men to lead us or to pick the right players or to have the right strategy. It's a mindset. I didn't even see that, but you're exactly right. And that's just a way of thinking that we need to get past and just take out of whoever has these thoughts, get them out of our head because they're just not right. The
fact that, again, the enemy is still sitting off to the side, a great coach, quality coach, without a head coaching position is a travesty. And the fact that teams feel like, if we, interview this person, and then if we just put this specific person in, regardless of their record, just because of, a color palette, we get social justice bonus points. Both of those things are nuts, and it needs to stop.
So some of the thoughts that I had, I want to believe Brian Flores. I do. I want to see the evidence. Obviously, I think the Belichick thing was really kind of on the nose, but you can doctor that stuff. I want to see the legal report that says, hey, we scanned both phones. Here's the text messages. Then I'm in. I'm not saying I don't believe him. I just I want to see it happen because I think he's right. John Elway and the Broncos, they haven't been able to figure anything out. And you want me to say that it's out of the question for him to be drunk and ridiculous to show up? Yeah, I'm sure that happened. I am. The other thing on top of this is, hang on.
Yeah, I agree with that, Aubin, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and here let's talk about this too, Aubin. Kyle brought up Gruden. That was my first thought when I thought about this. How many emails did they say they went through? And Gruden was the only person that's racist in the entire NFL?
Yeah, bull crap.
Gruden was a scapegoat. Because once they got rid of Gruden, they said, look, see, we got rid of it. It's not here anymore. Just close your eyes and keep walking.
Yep.
I don't think that's it. I think, and this is why the NFL is being so defensive with Flores, and they're being nasty with him. They're these are ridiculous accusations. I'm like, are they? Are they though?
No.
I'm with him. I stand with Flores. I need a shirt that says that I stand with Flores because it's ridiculous and it's probably all true. I want the proof. Stick it to him, man. Open up the floodgates to all the crap that's happened to so many of our favorite players. LaDainian Tomlinson probably faced this kind of stuff. T.O. probably faced this kind of stuff. I'm trying to Ray Lewis, people that aren't even perfect, but we find ways to put them down because they acted out in separate ways. Not saying they're perfect, but if we had a better system, could we have taken care of them? Unlike how we protect Ben Roethlisberger.
Robert Kraft.
You see what I mean? We could go through a whole bunch of white men that get glossed over with this. But as soon as we walk into the black men, we go right to AB saying he's mentally unhealthy. I'd like to see what happens with the Buccaneers stuff too.
Yeah, no.
The accusation is a white coach.
I think what's dangerous is once we're talking about these coaches and stuff, then we get to the players. there are black or white. There are legitimately players in the NFL that just aren't good people.
Yeah,
There
I
are,
agree.
like,
No, I
Thank
agree
you.
with that. I'm
Yes.
just saying
No.
how we
Like,
And I think that's
protect them is
a
different.
major issue as opposed to I personally am not someone who subscribes to the idea that there's this invisible boogeyman out there called, just, systemic whatever. No, it's called there are individual people out there that are buttholes. And
It's
they
supported by
act
the
like
system
buttholes.
that created them. It
I'm
is.
sorry,
It's a system.
And so, but I'm just going, yeah, but there are idiots in the world, and they act this way, and I act in a position of authority. They are in a position of authority, and then it just trickles down. And so, what needs to happen is those people need to be exposed for the idiots that they are, and say, hey, you don't get to act out that way because it's just plain evil. And
maybe, but power is power, and as long as they remain in power, it becomes very difficult to weed out.
That's the thing with the NFL is like the system hasn't been changed. Like there are a lot of businesses, places, people, like a lot of that in like you're talking about, Luke, like single people that are the issue. I think there are other aspects, other parts of this country, of this world, that there is a system still in place that we haven't like done anything with. It's a way of thinking. I think the NFL like hasn't done anything with their system to like, make do with that, to make right with that. They haven't. Like the one thing that was done was we got rid of John Gruden for being racist. Like that's not enough to me. Like it's still there. Owners have been there for the last 20-something years. We don't have a black owner. I don't know if we have any black GMs, maybe one. Like, it's not like for the NFL, for organizations, I think in that light, it is a little bit more of a system that we need to like figure out how can they like get out of that system and just be like open. But I do agree with you, Luke, that I don't think it's like every stinking corner of the earth is like a system of racism. At least not that I see, but there are a lot of things again that I haven't seen.
Let me jump on Aubin's point with that. I do think there is systemic racism. Absolutely. Because let's think of it this way. We talked about systems that are in place in the NFL. Let's think of that culturally. That if there's a system that tells them that behavior is okay, it doesn't matter if they're a butthole. John Gruden, a lot of people have said he's a nice guy. True or false? Everybody likes John Gruden. They do. Some people think he's weird, but people like him. Butthole or not, he still thought it was acceptable to talk, speak, act in those ways. That comes from a system that tells him that is okay, and this is the way that we are allowed to act. So do I think it's involved in drink sizes at McDonald's? No. I think it's involved in a lot of social climate issues. Absolutely. But that's a different table. Aubin, I know you're here. Invite us on. Let's talk about this at length. I'd love to do
Absolutely.
that. I really would, because I think that's more of an Afro-Latinos topic than it usually is one for us. Not saying it's not important. We just don't typically do that. So that being said, I stand with Flores. I hope he gets them. He needs to. Do we want to talk about what's going on with Kamara? I know that was like a recent thing.
Well, I mean, he might be 5 years in prison for battery. Not great news after the Pro Bowl. That's basically
I would strongly recommend thinking of maybe somebody else as your keeper for fantasy leagues.
Yeah. But Ryan Clark, we could probably talk about this. I thought this is really interesting because, like, I'm not in agreement with Ryan Clark. He said that Russell Wilson isn't the type of quarterback to lead any team to the Super Bowl. We need to stop like talking about him like we talk about Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or guys like that. And I'm just like, that makes no sense to me. Aaron Rodgers has been to one Super Bowl. He's won one. Like, Russell Wilson should have had two easily, except for he threw a dumb pick at the end, and instead they should have ran the ball with Marshawn Lynch and won the game. I just think Russell Wilson really hasn't gotten a fair shot to show what he's all about because, again, I think that organization's kind of crap. What do you guys think about what Ryan Clark said?
Who? Sorry, I'm kidding. I know who Ryan Clark is. Just the point of okay, most people would know who Russell Wilson is before Ryan Clark because he has been to the Super Bowl, you moron. It's not like he's never been there and is Aaron Rodgers-esque in terms of I choke every year. This happened to be the one year where he just didn't have this was years and years and years and years worth of we didn't put the right stuff around Russ, and it came to a head. And now we're suddenly going to throw him under the bus and say he can't take anybody to the Super Bowl. Can we hello? What?
No,
what
he's
kind of
a great
conversation is that?
How many? He's won an MVP, right?
I think so.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but if he didn't, he's definitely close to winning one. So
yeah. So and again, he's gone to a Super Bowl, and he was darn close. He was one bad call away from winning one. So it's
let's be truthful about this too. He's better than 3/4 of the quarterbacks playing for teams right now.
Better than Kirk Cousins.
For Ryan Clark to say that is okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That's
wow. I
That's
just remember
very
conversations, but okay.
I think he always starts out hot and then they play
years out
towards the back half of the season. I think that's what happened. Or vice versa. Either way. But right now he could go to Washington and probably perform really well. The Titans.
I think the Vikings. I think the Broncos.
Oh my word, the Vikings.
There are a lot of teams that are ready for a quarterback like him to come in and just literally be Russell Wilson, and they're automatically a playoff team.
Imagine Russell Wilson throwing to someone like Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but for Ryan Clark to say oh, we shouldn't talk about him being a Super Bowl. Does Ryan Clark know that only 2 teams get there? You know how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl? We talk about all these guys, they can take this team to the Super Bowl, but that's just a stupid argument in itself because only 2 teams can get there. So if you're going to say Russell Wilson can't do that, well, then a lot of players probably can't do that.
That's the same stat line when we were talking stats when Auburn was on. When I said, for how good NFC quarterbacks has been, listen, an AFC quarterback every year makes it to the Super Bowl since 1967.
Right.
That's the kind of asinine statement that Ryan Clark is making right now.
Yeah, I think so.
He's already been there. He's not Aaron Rodgers, who's always prepped to be the team coming into the playoffs and just falls apart. Russ's teams haven't always been the team, but somehow he always makes it happen. And he's running out of that magic because age, obviously, the body, obviously, but he still has that player potential. Get him the right fit, and he's there. So
I still think he has 5 years left. I do.
I'd say 3. I'll give you 3. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 33.
33.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, no, he could have 5 years in him.
Maybe. Okay. So this next one, Avin shared with me, and I hadn't seen it yet, and it's blowing my entire mind right now. Guys, Kyler Murray unfollowed the Cardinals, removed all Cardinals-related content from his Instagram. The only recent content was a picture of himself at the Pro Bowl and a story reshare of a Mike Evans post that said he always wanted to catch a pass from the Texas legend. Is he going to Tampa? Hang on.
Ooh.
And not always, though. If you look at the past couple years, since the Legion of Boom fell apart,
his defense, in the earlier years, his defense definitely helped him to get there. But also, let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger when he won 2 Super Bowls. His defenses were elite. You know what I mean? Let's just equate those there for a second. But the last 4 years, he had over 100 rating. He's never had a rating below a 90. Statistically, he's one of the best quarterbacks we've had in the last 8 years. So, I mean, he had 40 touchdowns last year to 13 interceptions in 2020. Like he has statistically, he's up there. But his defense, yes, defense is needed. We know that. But like his defense is absolutely horrible. And also they haven't had a good running game since Marshawn Lynch. So like that's something that they have not got nailed down for him yet. And also I will talk about this every year if I have to. His offensive line is one of the worst O-lines in football every year. So,
I like Chris Carson, but Chris Carson can't stay healthy. Like, what? Okay. So, last thing on Kyler. Would this be like the biggest blockbuster trade besides the Deshaun Watson thing, which will probably never happen? You trade your franchise quarterback to the Bucs, they're going to have to give up a boatload of things. I hear you. I'm with you. I don't hate it. I just think it's asinine. Like that's the same as saying like Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be an MVP every year because he gets bailed out by Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. Like that's how that take feels to me. It's like why? But I get it. I hope he does go to greener pastures and has a better chance for another Super Bowl. Which feels highly likely anyways. Let's scooch on over. I was going to talk about this, but we can talk about it next Monday because I'm sure we'll have something else to talk about with Super Bowl 56. But next week we'll talk the Tuck rule. I know didn't they do like an interview with Brady and with Desmond Howard on that? I'd like to go back and review that because that was such a weird thing. So Brady's retirement. It is official. It's finally happened. The big gabagool himself has announced that he's retiring. I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought he was going to spite everybody because they leaked that he was going to retire, and I thought he was going to be like, just because you said that, I'm not retiring for 4 more years.
And I took that personally.
But I'm cool that he didn't. You know what? I get it. You didn't finish with a Super Bowl. I know that you like winning. I know that that's your MO. But as soon as I read the first report that he enjoyed having waffles with his kids after he got knocked out, I was like, he's not coming back. And it gained steam, and I'm like, he may really not come back. And you're not. But you know what, man? I've ragged on you for years. Everybody loves to hate you. Coming from a school that gets a lot of hate for being good also, I get it. I get it, man. I do. But you know what? You are going to go down as the absolute best quarterback that has ever played.
He might go down as the best athlete in team sports.
That is a discussion that we probably should have at some point. It'd be really fun.
Let's table that. But I'll at least give him the best quarterback that's ever played in the professional leagues for the NFL. Granted, some of those were your defense. Some of that was a field goal to get you the Super Bowls. But you know what? Regardless,
one of that was the Tuck rule.
And he always put his team in a position to win. So say what you want. I hate that I'm saying it. Congrats, man. I knew this comment was coming. I figured you would still here. I knew.
But agreed, though.
I mean, it's 100% agreed. Tom Brady is 6'4", can barely move, is immobile. Of course, LeBron's a better athlete, hands down.
The real question: who moves faster, Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger? Catch us next week if we determine. They're both like white big trees. I want to see who's there. That all being said,
I just want to see a Marvel episode, what if kind of thing, if LeBron went to the NFL and was like a wide receiver or a tight end or something.
He would have been probably pretty good.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. Oh, now it doesn't. Hang on. Hold on. The fact that it might be your kitchen stuff. You know what? I'll put 50 in. So let's go to NFL highlights. There's one game that's coming up. I think it'll be a decent game. I think they play this game every year. It's like some something about a bird, like a superb owl or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that some Tigers and some Rams are going to play. I'm kidding.
I think
Bengals
they're
and Rams,
sheep.
obviously.
Tigers and sheep, right?
Whatever. Super Bowl 56. I think everyone in the nation is pulling for Bengals unless you live in LA or Detroit. But, every time I've said, Burrow's done. Oh, there goes their postseason. Whoop, there goes the regular season. They didn't draft an O-line. He has found a way to win. And it's terrifying. Because if that's a sign of things to come, maybe Cincinnati will be the new, Patriots dynasty. And that's terrifying to say, too. But
here's what I'm willing to say. I look at Joe Burrow's demeanor. I look at his just complete and utter poise and confidence under getting sacked 9 times and being in a raucous Arrowhead. And I go, regardless of whether Cincinnati's the next Patriots, Joe Burrow might be the next Tom Brady. Now, there's a hot take of hot takes, but I think he's got the skill set, even at his young age, that's only going to develop as he gets older. And I think he's got the mental fortitude to do it. So,
yeah, and he just came back from an ACL tear.
Correct. Yes.
To come back that fast, and
in
to just
such a manner.
To play recklessly with wild abandonment and then just run around and still get hit and throw bombs, super impressive for him to do that. Yeah, I would agree, Brad. I think that their receivers, some of the best, tight end, not great, offensive line, horrible. But once the Bengals know, hey, we got to Super Bowl, we can do this with Joe Burrow, then they're gonna. Oh, Brad left.
Yeah, I think he's having internet problems.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. Once he starts doing this every year, then the Bengals are gonna be okay, now we can start actually building the offensive line. Now we can actually start giving him a tight end, more players. Once you have your quarterback figured out, a lot of the other stuff is it comes easier. So
yeah, no, I do think it's funny because we all remember that Tom Brady went to Michigan. I think it would be hilarious if Joe Burrow is the next iteration of Tom Brady. Ohio State is no, we're not going to let Tom Brady go down as the GOAT. We're going to loan our quarterback out to LSU for a little bit, and then he's going to be the GOAT.
Loan, that's right. That's why he's so good at Ohio State. You remember all those records that he set in the Big Ten? Oh, wait, that's right. That'll be it.
Hey, you know what? He's from Ohio State, not LSU.
Brady commented on it. Brady said the best career move he's ever made to leave Ohio State and go to LSU. And I was like, bruh. Yeah, thank you, Alvin. I'm with it. He ain't no Ohio State boy. He broke all those records as a Tiger. I don't want to hear it. That's the first time I'm sticking up for LSU. Gross. That felt weird. Hey, Alvin, while you're here, did you see the video of Brian Kelly dancing with that tight end prospect, and it was really awkward? And then maybe 2 days afterwards, the tight end committed to Alabama. That was my favorite offseason moment. How about you?
No, that was just straight cringe. Can we talk about how straight cringe that was?
Brian Kelly is straight cringe. Yeah. Oh, dude, I love that you don't have Go Tigers anymore. I'm excited that I'm now going to have
Yeah.
I'm pumped, man. I'm ready for November. All that being said, that is kind of a Super Bowl preview. I think everyone in here wants the Bengals to win. I think their offense is going to be a really good fit. We'll talk about that in a minute. Kyle, it is a time for classic meatball. Look you in the director's chair here.
Yeah, I'll make this really quick because, as usual, we kind of spend about most of our show on the buzz. But here we go.
Yeah.
Spicy meatball. The Pro Bowl needs to be wiped out. It's horrible. One of the worst events ever. I understand it's not in the middle of the year like a lot of playoff, elite talent bowls, whatever you want to call them are. But it needs to be wiped out. It's horrible. No one wants to watch it. It needs to be replaced with the two worst teams in the NFL battling it out to get the number 1 pick overall. The two worst teams. So this year, it was the Jaguars and the Lions, right? Or the Jaguars and the Texans, whatever.
Do they have to lose or win to get
They have to win to get the number 1 pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Confusing. I get it. They have to win to get the number 1 pick. I mean, do you really think like how hard that team would coach, how hard those players would play to get the number 1 overall pick from an organization standpoint? Like, especially if you don't have quarterbacks, there's a sexy quarterback at number 1. Those coaches will spend every waking hour staying up, planning for the game to get this W. Like, I just think it would bring a lot more to the table. And we understand the NBA, there's a lottery, right? I believe the NHL, there's a lottery. So the NFL, I think, needs to mix that up a little bit and make the two worst teams play for the number 1 overall pick.
You have some criticism. I don't
personally
know, because that would be the best games they put on all season.
It's true though. And here's the thing. People, I think, they might watch because they're going to watch, like the Jaguars and the Texans face off in the, and they're going to play the hardest that they can. People might tune in for that, but they will definitely tune in to be like, okay, which one of these two teams is going to get the number 1 pick and which team is really going to be screwed up?
Yeah, going to be pissed off.
Yeah, and basically gets the loser of losers award. It's like now the number 1 pick isn't going to go to the worst team. It's going to go to one of the worst teams, but you win one. So the loser, it's like you were so bad you couldn't even get the number 1 pick. So
or the NFL should do a lottery for the top 10. Like, like that would be kind of cool too, I think. So
no, I do get what you're going for. Pro Bowl again. No one does watch.
The New Orleans Pelicans select Matt Corral, be the point guard for Zion Williamson. I want to see it.
Yeah, but okay. No one watches the Pro Bowl.
I'm gonna fly through this really quick. Flash thing. Let's take out the trash. Hugh Jackson lying about being paid to lose. Listen, man, just let Flores do his own thing. I know that you felt like you needed to be involved because you played in the division with the Bengals and the Steelers and the Ravens, and it's cool. It's awesome. You were a part. But, dude, just let Flores handle it. Mans came in with a lawyer and a whole, I've got it. We don't need you both. If you actually got paid, show me the receipt. But you coming around and turning around and saying, no, I didn't actually get paid. Come on, man. Don't do that. I'll take you out. Let's go. There's only been, I think, a few other instances. No, one other instance of 2 number 1 overall draft picks in the Super Bowl. A, you know who it is.
Is it Cam? Is it Cam Newton versus Peyton Manning?
Correct. That is the only other time that's happened in Super Bowl history. And now we've got it again with the number 1 overall pick, Burrow, and the number 1 overall pick, Stafford. If you had to take one, Burrow or Stafford?
Burrow.
There it is. Simple. Starting at Stafford, you're really not bad.
He isn't bad. He isn't bad. It's just I feel like we're seeing something generational in Joe Burrow. I mean, the fact I will not forget for a long time the fact that he got sacked 9 times and still found a way to win. That just kind of blows my mind.
For sure.
So we've been doing transfer portal shakeups. Last week was super long with quarterbacks. This week, not so much with running backs. Jarek Broussard, the running back for Colorado, is going to Michigan State. Perfect. If you're Michigan State, you lose Kenny Walker and bring in a pretty decent back in Jarek Broussard.
A little smaller.
No. Yeah, but I'm not worried about it. He's still speedy. But you're right, though. As long as he doesn't get injured, I guess that's the important part. Lincoln Riley, I still think it's a bad idea to go out there until he's proven that he's done something with that school yet, Caleb Williams. But Travis Dye went from Oregon to USC. Here's why I don't get this. You were the lead back at Oregon, man. You were doing great. Like, why are you just going to hope that you get drafted higher? Because if you're going to USC, they ain't got nothing. They ain't got no wide receivers. I guess you'll be the number one running back. That's fine. But
here's the thing, though. Let me come to USC's defense just right now for a second.
no.
They have a great coach right now in Lincoln Riley. They have a great quarterback in Caleb Williams. They've got some now great wide receivers in the wide receivers that have transferred. Like one of the wide receivers from Oklahoma transferred over
Mario
to
Williams.
USC.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And now you've got this. It
That's
is starting to come together as at least a quality offense. And if you don't think Lincoln Riley can do something with that, I've got, I've got the Hollywood Bowl to tell you. So
It's USC. The last time USC did anything was with Pete Carroll, a proven coach, which Lincoln Riley has proven, but you're playing in the Big 12 where there's no defense. And I'm supposed to be impressed that you're going to the Pac-12, who doesn't play 8 games. Like, you don't play offense or defense. You just show up. Like, of course he's going to be good, but it's not because he's good. It's because he plays in a halfway propped up division and conference.
Well, here's the thing. If the Pac-12 is really that much worse than the Big 12, then we should expect Lincoln Riley to absolutely wipe the floor with the Pac-12.
He should.
And so, and if he did,
it's not impressive.
Floor, it goes like with one loss in the Pac-12, he's going to the playoff.
Maybe.
But, like, even when Pete Carroll did it, I get, like, things were different back then because that was a while ago. But, in terms of the SEC, Big 10, Pac-12, like, USC, even though they lost to Texas, they were up there and they beat good teams. Have things changed? Yes. Yeah. But, like, any given Sunday I know is for the NFL. But, like, I believe, like, if USC would get there, run the table as they should with Lincoln Riley at USC, like, I feel like they should put up a little bit of a better fight than, like, I don't know, Cincinnati, or Michigan did, like, I feel like that is doable. So
I agree, but it's the Clemson situation all over again. Tell me, honestly, is there another powerhouse in the ACC?
No. But
in the Pac-12, it changes hands every year. Oregon, Utah, Washington, like, no one is a set stone. So if USC does it, congratulations. You're the best of the worst. Like, what prize is that? I didn't understand.
It served Clemson pretty well from, like, in just a few years ago.
But they didn't have to play anybody until they got to the national, like, title.
Yeah, that's true. I agree they don't play anybody, but, like, at least when Clemson got there, like, they put up a fight and they won, like, I think that's good. I think that's good for college football
let's all remember Trevor Lawrence's freshman year, what they did to Alabama in the championship.
I don't care about Trevor Lawrence. I cared more about Deshaun Watson. At least he proved that he could take a subpar Clemson team and actually compete. Those games were better than Trevor Lawrence's smackdown of Alabama. Sure, all the time in the world to play ho-hum. We played North Carolina for the ACC championship game. Meanwhile, Alabama has to play Georgias and the Floridas of the world, who were actually ranked pretty high. Thank you very much. Like, we had to play a real schedule to get there. Clemson did not. So, again, it might be good for the sport to see a different team get there, but if you don't play to get there, am I going to respect that? Probably not. Like,
well, you might not respect it, but if they can get there and then they can win, like, that's what it's about. You got to show up every week, and if you can't beat the USC's, and they have, but for future reference, the USC's, the Clemson's, the whoever is in a crappy conference, Notre Dame, if that wouldn't happen, but, like, if they did, like, you got to beat them no matter what. So
here's a cautionary tale too. We should not expect immediate success from Lincoln Riley anyway. He built a powerhouse with Oklahoma. How many championships did they win? How many national title appearances? Didn't he have Heisman-winning quarterbacks? How many? Do we know that?
At least 2 or 3. I think 3.
Jalen Hurts would have been 3, but he finished behind Burrow. My point
True.
being, he has had incredible talent and couldn't do anything. I think it is a career poison for Caleb Williams to follow that man and think that. I mean, going to the NFL, sure, that's fine. I'll give Lincoln Riley that. He knows how to put in good talent to the next level. But in terms of winning at the college level, that's part of the fun. You want to win. You're not going to do that at USC. You're not. Like, I don't see that they are going to win a national title. Now, if they do, I'll eat my word. You both can hold me to that. If they do, I will eat it. I will absolutely eat it and say, okay, Lincoln Riley, good move, good recruits. But I don't see it. I really don't. Come to Tuscaloosa. Come and play us in a bowl game and prove it, because you couldn't prove it with Oklahoma. I doubt you're going to prove it with USC.
Here's what I will end with the matter, and then I'm going to let it go.
Before I forget, let me add one more thing, because you'll agree with this too. Also, on top of that, you're recruiting in the state of California. Where are those SoCal kids right now? Who's leading Ohio State as the passer? Who's leading Alabama as their lead passer? You have to beat these blue blood schools now, being nobody USC, who has been nobody since the early 2000s. Mic drop. That's my final point. Have at it.
Okay, here's what I will say. We all remember back in like the early 2000 teens, and I'm thinking more like the 2000 tweens, when this coach went from the powerhouse SEC, when it was a powerhouse back then, like late 2000s into like the 2000 tweens, that the SEC was the powerhouse. Absolutely. It's become a little bit less so. I think the Big Ten has kind of come back into that, but we'll leave that for now. This coach went to a team that had gotten its butt whooped by SEC teams every time it went up against them, and turned it basically into the SEC team of the North. That was Urban Meyer with Ohio State. So what is to prevent Lincoln Riley from doing the same thing with a Pac-12 team? In that, here's what it'll be. His name is going to draw quarterback talent like bees to honey. Maybe. So he's going to have good quarterbacks already. And here's the thing. The quarterbacks that are in California right now, because right now there are the two names when it comes to coaching quarterbacks right now in college football are Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley. And if they have Lincoln Riley in their own backyard, they're going to go to Lincoln Riley. So
I would have Nick Saban too, but
I mean, okay, yeah, I think that's more. I don't think he's he's nowhere near the quarterback whisperer that Lincoln Riley or Ryan Day is.
I'm just saying it's not just Lincoln Riley. Like, Lincoln Riley is not the only coach out there that knows how to develop quarterback talent. Like, he is not going to win on name alone. Also, I know who you're talking about. You're referring to Urban Meyer, who went to Ohio State and built quite the powerhouse at Ohio State. I am familiar with that story. I am. I had to play Urban Meyer long before you had him as a coach. I know. But
you played him?
The point, though, is how Urban thanks, Alvin. The point is how Urban got there. He didn't backstab Florida. He didn't say, well, I'm going to stick around and then fly by night. Just, whoop, I'm somewhere else now. Sorry, recruit. He told people, he was like, I might go somewhere else. I might be done with coaching. Then went to Ohio State. Who cares? Lincoln Riley stabbed Oklahoma's back really badly.
He did.
I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And then he's gone. That is going to get remembered by a lot of recruits. That is going to get remembered. Same with Harbaugh. Even Harbaugh looking at NFL jobs,
I think Harbaugh more so.
Whether he took it or not, he came back, but it'll still be remembered. He looked.
I think Lincoln Riley's fine out there. I mean, I understand other teams on the East Coast, like in Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, those kind of teams can recruit everywhere, and they have, and they always will, as long as they have those coaches there. There's really no one else in California that comes close to a recruiter as Lincoln Riley. So you're saying, yes, Ohio State and all those teams, they recruited the crap out of California, and it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard. But it's going to be hard anywhere, but they never had Lincoln Riley in California. So, like, that in itself is going to be a different challenge for other teams, East Coast. For him, but for him, there's a lot of talent in Texas, Oklahoma, that area.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably maybe a little bit more in California. So like recruiting wise, I don't think it's going to be like that massive of a difference.
I just think Lincoln Riley can turn USC into basically the Clemson of the West.
I think so too.
That they won't have anyone really to compete with them.
Right.
They'll be able to go with really high records potentially because they will absolutely in a few years. If it goes the way I think it's going to go, they're going to be demolishing the Oregons, the Washingtons, the Utahs of the conference. They're going to have a really high record, even though some might debate how high it should be. And then they're going to come into the playoff and do what Clemson does on a regular basis. And so I think that is entirely possible. Now, we might debate whether or not it's right, like we have with Clemson, but I think it looks eerily similar.
I hate to agree, but yeah.
Yep, NIL is different ball game.
That is so true. USC has that California Hollywood money. They've got that Hollywood money now.
I will make one correction to your statement, Luke. Other than that, I agree. USC will be the Oklahoma of the West. I don't think they will have as much success that Clemson had. But they'll still be a powerhouse. They'll still be in the conversation. They'll just disappoint year after year. That is my prediction for USC football.
Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, they've brought in, how many saviors have they brought into that program that just have done nothing? Like, granted, they haven't probably had a quarterback like Caleb Williams since, like, the early 2000s, Matt Leinart. Help me out here, Kyle. I don't remember them all. They kind
Mark
of just,
Sanchez. John David Booty.
He was Booty.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah, like, they had good quarterbacks. They did. If USC can continue that, great. I'm just not sold.
Excuse me, Matt Barkley? Like, come on.
This is my point. They were good in college. That might be where the buck stops. We'll find out. Anyways, all of that to say, I'm watching you, man. I'm watching Lincoln Riley. We'll see. So we talked about Travis Dye from Oregon to USC. That's what brought the whole conversation. Kai Thomas is going from Minnesota to Kansas. It feels like a step across. However, that Kansas team showed some grit late season. I don't think this is going to be feeder Kansas from now on.
He's also from Kansas too, so he's just going back home.
Yeah.
Plus, I think you're going to have Mohamed Ibrahim coming back for Minnesota.
He was really good.
Yeah, no, I saw him in the first game of the season before he hurt himself. Yeah. He is a very good running back.
Very talented, yep.
And so Kai is not going to get starting time with Mohamed Ibrahim in the tables as well.
Probably not. Noah Cain left Penn State to LSU. That makes sense. Kyle and I talked about this when it happened. He just kind of had fallen out of the starting favor anyway. Yeah. So
I don't think he's going to get a ton of time at LSU either. Freshman year, he was looking like he would have been like a second-round draft pick at one point. But injuries kind of derailed his career a little bit, and our offensive line is booty cheeks. So makes sense he wants to go to LSU. So he'll get to
Zach Evans makes the move from Big 12 from TCU to Ole Miss. This was great for Ole Miss. They addressed a key need as they're losing Snoop Connor and Jerrion Ely both in the same year, which is your starter and your backup. So you had like big old question mark. So they've now answered quarterback with Jackson Dart and running back with Zach Evans. They might be geared up to go pretty far again. Maybe. We'll see. Dart's good. We'll see how he adjusts to the offense.
Zach Evans had a really good year this year.
Yeah, dangerous moves for Ole Miss. Tyon Evans went from Tennessee to Louisville. Probably good because Malik Cunningham has been running all over the field by himself. He's not Lamar. Give him the help he needs. Jahmyr Gibbs goes from Georgia Tech to Alabama. Great. That was another big question mark we had coming into the offseason. I like Trey Sanders. I do. I just feel like he needs more time to develop. So maybe Jahmyr Gibbs gives him that like gap year to like really develop as a good potential starter because he really just got thrown into emergency starting this year. Jalen Berger went from Wisconsin to Michigan State. I saw that. I was like, okay, so Michigan State is going to develop a big old run game, I think, and have like a committee.
Yeah, Jalen Berger was like a pretty high recruit for a running back for Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin doesn't get other than Jonathan Taylor, that was a pretty big get for them. But
they had Melvin Gordon too.
Yeah, I'm thinking like high recruits though. Like,
well,
I don't know how high recruit
year than both of them coming out of high school, but
yeah, I don't know how high recruits a lot of these guys were, but like recently anyway, like Jalen Berger was like a pretty high recruit. So for him to like fall out of favor, and then I think he got kicked off the team. I don't know exactly what he did. So like, hopefully he can write his career at Michigan State. But Michigan State getting both those guys, very different kinds of backs for sure. But maybe that'll help replace Kenny Walker. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. It's going to be big shoes to fill, but you're right. Berger's not going to take over Allen as the lead back for Wisconsin anytime soon. So probably a good move for him. N.J. Dixon goes from Clemson to West Virginia. It's strange. We don't see a lot of people leave Clemson in that way. I'd be curious to see if Virginia. Yes, I'd be curious to see if it's just an interest in West Virginia, if it's just an interest in getting away from coach that he stopped coaching if NIL deals ever went through. Who knows? We'll find out later.
Maybe he just likes the West Virginia song. Maybe he just West Virginia.
The exodus from TCU continues. Monte Watkins goes from TCU to New Mexico State. Best of luck with that move. Goes from Louisiana to Florida. That's pretty good. Florida's run game was okay with Pierce, but obviously the quarterback and running back, like the whole offense was just kind of okay, needed help. Let's also mention that Amani Bailey from Louisiana is going to TCU. So yeah, TCU is losing people, but I guess they're getting somebody back. So maybe that'll make up for it. You're in the Big 12. You're not going to do a whole ton. We'll see how that goes. Let's finish up our episode here with Jock, Paper, Scissors. Guys, is it, and I'll vote too, is it Commanders, Generals, or the football team? What would have served Washington best?
Football team.
Honestly, I like Commanders.
Oh!
It's not the best, but
Wait, I'm trying to unmute it. Stop pressing it. No.
Oh my god. I think it's like, okay, there are worse names in the NFL. Come on.
You're right. Commanders.
Like the anuses, that's about it. Like, that'd be like the only worst team name ever.
Yeah. Commanders feels like when New Orleans went to the Pelicans. Like, great, you need a name. You could have picked a better one.
Yeah. I think it's just getting worse.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. I don't think they could have stayed the football team forever. They needed to pick something. It was always meant to be a placeholder. The placeholder was already getting old.
What about the potato skins? Why didn't we think of that?
That's even worse than Commanders.
They could have been more intimidating as the Caterpillars. Like, come on, guys. Like,
or the pigskins. What about the Washington Pigskins,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That actually is hilarious.
So, for me, I'm not taking any of those names. I like Red Hogs. When they brought out Red Hogs, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, give some credit to your O-line from ages and ages ago that were just called, I think, just the Hogs, right, Kyle? Or was there a different name for that? I thought it was just the Hogs. But I would have liked that, too. I just felt like Commanders would take 2 years to do Commanders. Like, I'm going to go back to an old LeBron Twitter where he tweet where he was making fun of Washington because he said, these guys sat in a conference room and came up with the Washington football team. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, it's okay. It could have been if you're going to redesign your whole franchise. So, we'll see. So we're to end in a strange way. I don't know if anybody can hear me because I'm glitchy.
You're really good or what's happening? You're cutting out pretty bad, but I think people can still kind of understand you.
Okay, one sec. Kyle, do you have your phone?
My phone?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, well, cool. So, Random Fandom is a thing that we've done, a video, an episode every Friday. You know it, you love it, top 5, all that good jazz. We're going to start to transition to something else instead of Random Fandom. It's going to be called Smash Popcorn. You're probably asking, what the heck is Smash Popcorn? Are we going to get drunk live? No, we're not. But what we are going to do is we are going to review a movie every Friday. We have a lot of different ideas for what kind of movie we're going to do, but it's something that we've always wanted, at least the 3 of us, the 2 of us, whatever, have always wanted to do, review a movie. I think early on, it's going to be movies that most people have seen. And then as we get more and more traction and better at it, we're going to go to like movies that are out now, movies that are premiering, so we can be the first ones to like review it for everybody that watches. So we'll talk about the movie, all the good stuff attached with it, you know, cinematography, soundtrack, acting, and then we'll give it our score at the end of the episode. So watch out for that. I believe that will start next Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So.
Yeah, next Friday, not this Friday.
Yeah, next Friday. Yeah. Yes. So watch out for that.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging with us. I don't know if I'm still glitching. This has been another episode of Jock Talk with the Jocks of All Trades podcast. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.